Welcome back. Here we are at our final lesson. We're going to be talking about sitting today, and in particular, how you can sit better and support the stability of your pelvis and support the function of your pelvic floor. So let's take a quick look at some anatomy here. We have your pelvis, and we want, ideally, to be sitting on the base of your pelvis. So your ischial tuberosities are these bones here, your sit bones, and that's what we want to be supporting most of our weight when we're sitting. What tends to happen though is we want to get nice and comfy and relaxed, and so we sit back and we tuck our pelvis under, and we're then supporting a lot of our weight on the triangular shaped bone, the sacrum that we talked about way back on day one, and then also a little bit on our tailbone, which you can't see in this model, also known as your coccyx. So when we sit back on this part of our pelvis, we're destabilizing these sacroiliac joints, and we're also destabilizing the pubic symphysis. So we want to support our weight on the base of our pelvis, not the back of our pelvis. The other important thing with this is the pelvic floor muscles. Some of them run from the base of your sacrum forward to the front of your pubic bone. So they run from back to front or front to back. We also have some that run side to side. But the strength of a muscle depends upon the length of a muscle. So we don't want the muscle to be too short. We don't want the muscle to be too long. We want the muscle to be at just the right length so it can generate just the right amount of force that's needed for what we're asking of it, whether that's coughing, sneezing, laughing, chasing after a kid. We want to be able to do all those things without peeing our pants in the process. We also want to be able to support the load of a growing baby well, and we don't want our organs to be moving southward in the process. So having pelvic floor muscles that are strong and able to do their job well is really important. And when we sit back on our sacrum, we're pushing the sacrum, the bottom of the sacrum, forward a little bit, and we're decreasing the distance between the sacrum and the front of the pelvis, and we're putting those pelvic floor muscles in a shortened position, which means they're not able to generate the amount of force they need to, as well as if they were at the optimal length. So if I'm doing a bicep curl, if my arm is fully straight, I can generate a lot more force to do that bicep curl than if my arm was already partially bent. The amount of force I can generate from a partially bent or shortened muscle length is less than when my muscle is at its optimal length. All right? So that's some of the anatomy behind this. Let's take a look at how this translates to the chair. You'll notice the back of this chair is angled back. So the tendency is, if I'm sitting, to have my back resting against the chair, which pretty much automatically sets me up for tucking my pelvis. Most chairs are like this. Most couches are like this. The seat of your car is probably like that. What we need to do most often is to actually bring our back away from the back of the chair, or fill in this space with something like a pillow or a cushion so that we aren't having to angle back, but we can keep our rib cage stacked over our pelvis. And in the process of that, you'll notice you're more upright on the base of your pelvis. So wiggle a little bit, shift side to side a little bit so that you can feel your sit bones. And then go ahead and rock back so you can feel what it's like to rock off of the sit bones, like you're a rocking chair. And then go ahead and rock forward so you can feel what it's like to, again, sit back up on them. So here we are supporting our weight on the base of the pelvis. Here we are rocking back, tucking the pelvis under, and asking the coccyx and the sacrum to support us more. And also placing our pelvic floor muscles in a shortened position. So come up onto the base of your pelvis, and you're going to be helping your pelvis be more stable and your pelvic floor do its job better. Now, a couple things to watch for. When we sit, we often do some asymmetrical things. So this kind of thing is a pretty common sitting position for people. And you'll notice my weight is all the way over on one side of my pelvis. I have this leg crossed over, so I'm stretching these muscles more on this side than on my opposite side. And my spine's at kind of a weird angle, and my pelvis is at a weird angle. So I'm putting this torque and these different forces on my pelvis and my back that often I'm only doing on one side. So I don't often see people give me equal time to the opposite side. So watch when you sit, not only that you're sitting on the base of your pelvis, but what are you doing when you sit? And are you always doing it or mostly doing it on just one side of your body? And if so, can you mix it up? So if you always cross one leg over the other, make sure you're also crossing the other leg over the other. And you probably won't do this for very long because you're going to need more room for your baby as things are growing. So for the sake of your pelvis, sit on the base of your spine. Watch that you're not leaning back, and if you are, fill in that space with some cushion so you can be more upright. Overall, take breaks from your sitting so that you're not sitting for extended periods of time. Try not to sit for more than 20-30 minutes of time without taking a standing break and moving and shifting your position. If you can, even though it may be the last thing you want to do, see if you can decrease your quantity of sitting and do some work standing instead, or sit on the floor. Change your position so that you're asking different muscles to do things different and your joints to be configured in different ways. This variety is really, really beneficial and helpful for your body. Sitting on the floor also asks our hips to do a little bit more range of motion than when we're sitting in a chair. It opens things up a little bit differently, which can be helpful in general. If you're having discomfort, then that may not be the thing for you. So go by what is right for your body. But these are things for you to consider. As you move through your pregnancy, sit on the base of your spine, take sitting breaks, standing breaks from your sitting, and decrease the overall quantity of sitting. Also, catch yourself with your sneaky default habits that are more on one side than the other, and see if you can equal that out so both sides get a chance to experience different positions. All right, thank you so much for being a part of this series. I hope it has been helpful for you, and I look forward to crossing paths with you at another time. Enjoy.